Leo, you've had some time to reflect now on Saturday's defeat. Could you believe Ulster were that, or was a situation where you guys just didn't really turn up?
Probably a little bit of both. I think Ulster were good. They brought a lot of intensity to the game. Talked about after around the intensity in the pros and trying to get guys up to speed. Because even if you played some of the international games, going back to a derby game where there's players like sitting and waiting and just itching to get going, and particularly as in we knew Ulster would have been hurting off the back of their loss against Connacht, where Connacht obviously had played the inter-provincial derby the week before against Munster and had an hour loss, and you could see the intensity that Connacht brought to the game that day, and I think Ulster brought that type of intensity to the game. So I thought they were good, and in some of those very very tight little battles during the course of the game, Ulster won more of those. So the game is quite complex, our rugby game. But it is also quite simple at times as well. And, I thought Ulster across the board they won more of those little 50-50 battles, which led to them winning the game. I thought our guys fought back well to get to 10-all, but then we don't manage. We had the win behind us, and, we don't manage the next exit part of the game. And, we give away a cheap penalty, and then Ulster have their nose in front. And then, because for lots of different reasons, that cohesion piece about trying to chase the game, guys are maybe trying a little bit too hard in that last 10 minutes, which we end up looking quite frantic. Mm-hmm. So it's just trying to deliver a little bit more composure if we get ourselves in that situation again, where we do have to chase the game, and it's that tight game. It was 13-10, and obviously we throw an intercept pass at the end, and we lose the game 20 points to 10. But 10-all, even at 10-7 when we were down, we were attacking the Ulster line. With there's 15-20 minutes to go at that stage. We take the 3 points thinking, okay, we'll use the win to get back down there again, but we don't execute our exit. As I said, we give away that penalty, and the rest is history a little bit. So, but Ulster, gives them a lot of credit. They turned up well, they fronted up physically, I thought, well. And that's the fine margins, particularly in these inter-pro games. We learned that the hard way again against Connacht last year. Where we lost at home. We had a pretty disjointed team that day. Had some interruptions early in that game. So, but you need to be able to ride out the storm and deal with some of the disruptions that you face on any given week. So, for us now, this week's another opportunity to get guys back up to speed in terms of what we want to do, build that sense of team cohesion, and hopefully get a more positive result that'll lead us into Bath the following week.
Yeah, you said there, fixtures don't stop. Big one this weekend. And then into Bath, Europe's always a special time, isn't it? Around the Christmas fixtures, it's pretty exciting for you guys, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a block. It's a massive block that goes a hell of a way to defining how you go in your season. So, the format of Europe makes it, it focuses the mind even more. Certainly, it should focus the mind. And some teams will, if you manage to sneak two early in the season, or you lose two games, it's amazing the mindset it'll have over those games that are post-Christmas, because the margins are going to be so fine now. You don't have control over lots of the other games. You're only playing two teams, and even the other team that you play in your group are playing a different team. So there's so many different variables at play here. So but yeah, we just got to focus on ourselves now, really. Bath, we've watched with a lot of interest. Montpellier, our team that we've faced in the past, they have a lot more stability probably now than they would have had in the past. Both teams are very, very heavily resourced, have good, strong international players with a hell of a lot of top end experience. So they'll both see it as probably, I'm sure, a fresh start for themselves. So yeah, it's lots of danger, I think, out there. But again, it's trying to control what we can, and we'll have a number of guys that will come back into the team this week, and they haven't played for us in quite a while. So again, we'll see what that looks like. Then it's trying to build and bring together in many ways the two groups then the following week into Europe, and we'll see where we go in terms of selection for that week.
What about Europe over the last couple of years, Leo? The defeat. Saracens, the quarter-final, final before that, and then the semi-final to La Rochelle. Obviously small margins. Have you sort of looked at that as a coaching group and thought, why aren't you quite getting to the next hurdle of those big matches?
Yeah, like we would after every every game really, win or lose, you know. So we're always looking to try and evolve our game. If you think back to the last 5 seasons, you lose 2 semi-finals away in France. Or sorry, you lose the semi-final away in France. We lost the semi-final in the league at home against Scarlets shortly after that. But again, like how you process some of that disappointment and be able to turn the page can be a challenge as well. You know, if you think the final we lost in Newcastle, you know, came down to, again, just not quite nailing opportunities on the big day. Really, we had plenty of opportunities. We got off to a good start in that game, 10-0 up, and you know, Saracens fought their way back in. You know, they had a sim binning where we didn't really capitalize on that. So it's making sure we understand some of those scenarios of games when you get into that scenario. Nailing the opportunities, start the second half, and then, you know, as the game wears on, you know, Saracens start to get into a bit of ascendancy. We lose the man to the bin, and they're probably a bit more clinical in terms of punishing us than we were punishing them. So learning from all those bits of failure, or you would call it what you will, it's just experience at the end of the day. The COVID games took on a whole new form, really. If you look back on those, you know, we win a final against Ulster, then you have to play a quarter final the week after, and you know, we don't quite get up to the pitch, and how we manage some of that set piece. Saris, you know, they're waiting in the wings, you know, and they deliver on the day. You know, we didn't really get going until probably 50 minutes into the game. We looked good when we eventually did get going, but it was too little too late, unfortunately. So again, making sure you get ready for minute one of all these games. And then obviously last year you lose against La Rochelle. You know, in many ways there was probably some similarities to the Saracens final. Even as I'm talking out louder, I'm thinking back to some of those moments. You know, you lose away in France. Again, it's always a big challenge playing away in France. All the different elements that you have to deal with over there. So again, trying to go back to the pool stages of trying to. Obviously, there was the COVID bits and the games getting cut short, and it was jeopardy in terms of names going back into the hat. But trying to control that home advantage piece in an ideal world gives you that slight edge. Because you have less variables to deal with, and more familiarity, etc., etc. So, the game itself, you know, we lose James Lowe to the bin. You know, again, we start the game well. Potentially could have been up by more, but again, nailing those opportunities, because you don't want those missed opportunities to come back and haunt you in the end. So that's all feeds into our narrative here. So making sure we deliver clinical performances on the day where you're maximizing every opportunity that comes along, because you don't want it to burn you either in that game, or, you know, whether it's a bonus point at the end of the game, or losing or winning, that potentially costs you home advantage later on in the tournament. So it's trying to make sure you are always trying to stack the deck in your favor.